From the end of May, frequent heavy summer rainstorms, which caused work disruptive intervals, up to the point when two back-to-back hurricanes hit our area, Hurricane Helene and Hurricane Milton, where Helene's impact was less disruptive and caused less damage than Milton. Hurricane Milton started drenching our boat-building site days before even closing in with heavy rains, but before and during landfall created an immense storm surge, which literally brought havoc. It flooded our site up to 34 inches with water above the ground level, scattered stored building materials all over the place, and even mowed the finished hull number 1, including the strong back by about 15 to 20 degrees in the back. The following pictures show the flooding caused by frequent heavy summer rainstorms, as well as the severe flooding caused by Hurricane Milton, which reached up to 36 inches above existing ground level, and scattered building materials, even if stored on racks or on pallets about 12 inches above existing ground level of the building site, which is already 6+ feet above sea level, which means that the flooding caused by Milton around our boat building site was 9 to 10 feet above sea level. This pallet with about 30 sheets of carbon core material has floated away approximately 90 feet from his original storage position, and was only holed up by the fence next to the street. The whole rack with the rest of the carbon core material, which was next to the pallet seen before, has been lifted and tilted by the floodwaters, so the top stored sheets did slide off, but fortunately were held back from floating away by the storage rack next to it. This shows how much water was still not drained on the 4th day after the flooding caused by Milton. This shows how much of material was scattered all around the boat building site by the Milton flood, and needed to be searched and retrieved or discarded. Finally, on the 17th of October, the floodwaters have receded to the point where I could start cleaning up the displaced stocks of 2x stored between the hulls and res-tack them. Here we start to see the end of the tunnel, meaning getting close to the end, in order to get working on the boat building tasks again. Another scare happens on the 3rd of December. When I get a phone call from the friends of the farm, that there is a brush fire near our boat building site. Fortunately, they have already called in the firefighters, which are already at work to put the fire out. Needless to say, I immediately jumped in my truck in my home's driveway, to get to the site, in order to assess possible damage and looming hazards to the boat building site. Fortunately, when I arrived, the firefighters had already extinguished the fire close to the area where 2 days before was still laying the carbon core material washed up close to the fence at the street. The empty pallet was still there, just slightly scarred by the near fire. Here you can see how much the hull number 1, which was parallel to hull number 2, in the back, stern portion, had been displaced by the floodwaters of Milton. Now we are back in business, with sanding the fairing compound before applying the copper coat anti-fouling on hull number 2, which at this time is now applied up to the last 12 feet of the hull, only the bow section remaining, but at this stage stopped from finishing by the unusual wintry cold weather. But this should not last, so hopefully we can resume and finish hull number 2, and then ready both hulls for the turnaround, which will mark a milestone, as we can then connect the hulls and install the main bridge floor.